Welcome to the expansion of consciousness. I'm your host, Jason Medlock, and we have an exciting guest tonight. First, talk about what we have upcoming here in Houston, Texas, on April the 28th. Expansion of consciousness has been nominated for Podcast of the Year. It's just wonderful thing for us to be in our third season to be nominated for Podcast of the Year and actually win it. So we're excited about that. So just wanted to let you guys know that. But we are about helping people grow and expand their consciousness, and that may be in a lot of different ways. It may be with a spiritual teacher. It may be with a business coach. It may be with a life coach. But all these different facets that are out here for people to learn, techniques that are out here for people to understand how to integrate them in your daily life, it's available through coaching, through reading. It's available. But our guest tonight, DiGeronimo, and when I tell you this is an outstanding, beautiful soul, an award-winning author, a woman in tech turned, um, just she's done it all. She shares her energy practices and empowering strategies that listeners can use to create more impact. With new levels of awareness, JJ shares a more spiritual side of her life that understandably strengthens her mission to empower women at work and in life. Conditioned to work outwards, JJ juggles a variety of external validations, such as titles, salaries, relationships, intermingled with self doubt, negative self talk, and demanding schedules. These same procedures lead many women to ask, am I enough? What am I doing? Or is this it? With over 20 years in the tech industry, she's no stranger to navigating the twists and turns of moving from entry level positions to leadership. And now she is focusing on unleashing leadership and insights from within. Does that sound familiar, audience? Everything starts from within. And this is a fabulous, fabulous young lady who, has a ton of credentials, a ton of ideas, and things that she's already put in practice with women, helping people raise their frequency and their vibration. But we're going to go ahead and bring JJ on without any further ado. Hey there, JJ. How you doing?
Hi, Jason. I couldn't be more thrilled to be here with you right now.
Well, super. I want to make sure I said your last name correct. So you may want to just throw it out there one time just to make sure that I did it
Oh,
right.
sure. Oh, sure. It's JJ DiGeronimo.
There we go. Okay. All right. So, you know what? I'm glad that we've had this opportunity to finally have a conversation and share with the expansion of consciousness audience. I'm looking at your background and I love everything that you do. You're about raising frequencies, you're about empowering women, mindfulness, understanding how to remove blockages. You're an award winning author. Can you kind of walk us through this fantastic um, and eventful career that you've been able to experience?
Well, I wish I would have known early on that I'm a 3-5 in human design, and the 3 stands for trial and error. And I would say that that is the underpinning of not only my life, but also my work. I am very much a explorer, a seeker, a problem solver, a
Mm,
I would say action-oriented individual, and I definitely don't take no for an answer. So it is taking me, the last 35 years, to kind of get to where I am right now in regards to my work. And I feel like I gathered lessons every step of the way, even back to one of my first jobs.
mm. Wow. You spend a lot of time working with different people, women in particular, just about how to observe different situations, how to read different people. Um, for instance, the way your energy impacts a person when you're meeting someone and just kind of following, the tea leaves on how they react to you. Has that been insightful for you to kind of understand how all that works? Is that something that you've really enjoyed doing?
Well, I think my work really sort of where the rubber hits the road is when I get to be with people and talk about their journeys, their obstacles, things that are happening. With everything that's happened the last few years, I do a lot of one to many events. So I've had to shift sort of how I show up, but I think it also has given me space to really uncover my next level of learning. And I spent a lot of time over the last 3 years learning birth charts because I feel like they were one of the tools that really helped me uncover more of the work I was supposed to be doing while I was here. So through the last few years, I've been showing up online, which has been really fun, and even creating a community to talk about some of the practitioners I work with and things that I've done to sort of unpack the self doubt and really give myself more permission to lean into my whispers.
So when you unpack all of this self-doubt and fear, possibly depression, whatever that may look like, which modality or which um you know process are you using uh, to understand what's happening and to actually remove it
Yeah, well, I'd
and
like to say,
throw it away?
Jason, there's a magic wand, but there is not. And there's not one magic practice either. In fact, in my book, Seeking, I cover about 50 energy practitioners I've worked with throughout my life.
Mhm.
I didn't really know that's what I was doing in the process. I feel like each one of them kind of came to me at a time that I needed them and I was open to explore it. But as I look back, I see all the dominoes that sort of helped me sort of work through my own stories, has helped me understand where I fit into the bigger equation. And I mean, it goes even back to when I was a teenager. My mother took me to Lilydale several times, which is um, a spiritual community on Lake Erie outside of Buffalo, New York. And so never did I know now that I'm 50 that that would have been sort of like the beginning of the awakening or the beginning of the acceptance process, openness to seeking outside myself for some wisdom and insight that I can then use internally to help decide kind of my next step.
Many of us have gifts, receive messages, download inventions, just all kind of things that are, in the ether, in the atmosphere, and some of it is just buried inside of us. Um, when you look at, these type unique individual gifts that we have that we possess from within, and how do you look at that, and tie it into your life's work and things that you're working on? uh, just having this kind of knowledge, knowing that we are much, much more than what we appear.
Mm. Well, I will tell you that through the years, I have had incredible energy practitioners I've worked with. I've learned some of my own gifts. But I think the thing that has really come forward for me is the realization that we are all teardrops of the bigger, encompassing, enlightened, universal energy. And the way that I sort of view it for myself and share with others is that you think about when you're born, you get a teardrop of that energy comes into your human vessel or your human body and is buried deep within. And our life's work is buried in all of that. And some of that has gifts and insights and wisdom. But as you talk about in many of your episodes, this ego energy, this self talk, the monkey mind, all those things that we talk about that sort of keep us in our heads, analyzing, measuring, monitoring, um, discussing on a regular basis sometimes overshadows that light. And so, using a lot of the skills that you teach and some of your visitors have taught with mindfulness and meditation gives you the ability to create space for that light to shine.
Mm. So your shifts are from outward to inward, and they occurred after your seeking had begun. Um, so as you learn to look more inward, um, and more often for recognition and power and maybe security, the next level of your life's work. seems to emerge. So, how can one shift from seeking outward to seeking inward?
Yes, it's a beautiful question. I think for me, it was something that happened over time. And, I believe that our relationships are our biggest teachers and often our biggest catalysts. So for me, over time, just continuing to hit hurdles and situations and life experiences, I got to a point where I realized that a lot of the things that I had set forth for myself were visions of success I have predefined. If I achieved it or did not achieve it, I seem to feel the same way. And I feel like there might have been moments of joy, but in a lot of ways, there wasn't that really glorious energy that you think you're going to feel when you get to these milestones. And in 2016, I really just felt like I didn't know how to experience joy. I lost my mojo, I lost my energy, and I feel like the relationships around me were just reflecting where I was in my own process, which was kind of
Been
just
there.
sort of swimming in the mud puddle, and I
Yes.
didn't know where to go,
Yep.
honestly. And that's kind of what really kinda kicked off, like, the next generation of my seeking.
Yeah. I mean, I've been there before. And for me, when I felt like, I was disconnected, was just kind of moving through sand, I actually lost my connection with source, and
Mm.
I was focusing on all these other things that were helping other people, but I was not really keeping my connection very tight. And it happened to me. So it can, definitely,
Yeah, that's
definitely.
kinda what happened to me too. So what did you do? What was sort of the first step that you look
I had
back
to
on
call my
now?
spiritual teacher back so she could get me back grounded and she could move me back to the roots of everything she had taught me, because you start to learn all the different techniques and the modalities and the
Mhm.
work that comes from that, and learning different people and bringing this energy on, and then all of a sudden after a month you're wondering, why don't you feel like you're moving any further? So I've had that experience.
Yeah, and that's kind of what happened to me too, is I just realized I was not experiencing, like, what I thought it was going to be like, and I had all these accolades, and, and if you were to read my resume and stuff, you'd be like, "Oh my gosh, you made it," but inside, I just felt so disconnected,
Yes, we have to
and then
keep that
just things
connection.
kept happening around me that things just kept falling apart. I'm like, "Okay, I got the message. I got it. Now where should I start?" And I ended up going to a tapping session. That was the first thing I did, and I didn't even know anything
Yes,
about tapping. I just went
yes.
there, and the woman's like, "Why are you here?" I'm like, "Listen, I've been guided to come. I don't know why I'm here." She's like, "You didn't register." I'm like, "I know. I decided like an hour ago I was coming."
Wow.
So that
So,
was really the beginning.
so you have clients out there, and you walk women and men through different stages of their pain, their hurt, uncovering things that can be healed, and so they can move forward with their life. Um, One of the things that you talked about earlier was self doubt,
Mm.
and I'm wondering, how long can we allow self doubt to influence our decisions? And at what point does it compromise our life's work? Just not being able to totally think that you can do it.
Well, if someone has that figured out, could they please call me? Because I will say that I have self-doubt
Uh,
every single day, sometimes multiple times throughout the day,
but
because
how do you handle it though? How do you handle self doubt?
well, I think the first thing is, one, mindfulness has been a really big piece of getting to this
Yes,
new level of awakening. And,
yes,
thank you, John Kabat-Zinn, for creating, the 8-week mindfulness class that I attended, because, and I had to start several times. So it was not a first time winner with that. I just didn't get it. It took me a while to just really understand what it was all about. I was going there trying to be like so productive, like creating lists and analyzing things that had done that week and what I was going to do. I just took me a while to just allow myself to understand what was being taught. And I think as an A plus player that gets you the accolades, right, that everyone says you're striving for, it
mhm,
often deters you from really being present. And without the right training, it's really hard to handle the self doubt. In fact, most people don't even know they have self doubt because they're flying through their decisions, flying through their yeses, and they don't have time to just understand like this energy that's constantly talking to you. And most of it is not super positive. So without mindfulness, you don't understand the initial ego reaction you have to most situations. And until you can kind of teach yourself, whether you do it through videos, through a coach, through a training class or an in person, whatever you do, you should do something in regards to learning mindfulness. That's when you can say, I'm going to do this. And then you wait a second and you hear all the reasons why you shouldn't, because we all have them. And then you can say, I got this. I got this. Because it really is more of a protection mechanism in a lot of ways. And it is a lot of energy that is really just trying to keep you in a safe place. But in a lot of ways, we don't need that level of safety. We don't need to be that cautious. And frankly, women really need to proactively push through that self-doubt even more than men, and it shows up in a lot of ways professionally. Like, women feel like they need to have 120% of their resume or 120% of the job description, where men feel pretty comfortable at 60% to apply. So if we want more women at more tables, if we want more women decision makers, understanding your self-doubt and how much it impacts your decisions is absolutely critical.
So you mentioned mindfulness. Mindfulness practices. It allows us to recognize how our fears and how they show up in our thoughts, and how those thoughts might influence our actions. How and why do you um, think mindfulness has changed your life?
Well, for me, and I think for a lot of people that I've talked to about mindfulness, mindfulness gives you the ability to be in the present moment, which is very difficult and you have to train yourself to do. Most people live in the past or in the future, not really right where we are right now. And if you were in the moment right now, you're much more aware of what is on replay in your head, which could stem back from second grade when a teacher told you XYZ, or your great aunt told you, you're not good enough, or maybe your first job, or, somebody in your family or somebody in your community. I mean, those stories do not go away easily. And they often impact the decisions we have as adults.
Mm. You know, I was just sitting here thinking, why do you think most people have a hard time with mindfulness? Just wondering.
Because everything in society teaches us not to be mindful, right?
Yes.
Especially with all these devices. I mean, we are constantly outside of our current state, right? We're watching, we're doing, we're being, we're pretending, we're planning, we're reflecting. And I think everything that society compliments us for has to do with where we're going and not necessarily where we are right this moment.
Yes. I'm gonna let you go first on this one, and I'm gonna answer I'm gonna go second. But what have you learned like the most for mindfulness, like dealing with that? What have you learned the most?
That the present moment is really all that we have.
Mm. What I've learned the most, just about mindfulness, is it's really, really. I mean, I guess I got much more mindful after I really started to use meditation in the right way, and it just created this level of awareness that I had, and I started to use remote viewing because I was mindful, because I had built this whole open space, open heart that was just incredible. So when I hear mindfulness, and just kind of my aha moment had to be when I started to emerge from meditation with a much broader thought process.
Yeah, and I wanna explore that a little bit more with you, but I agree, you can't really meditate without being mindful. I think
Right.
I didn't realize the interdependency
Yes.
And a lot of people even think it's the same thing, but it really was a game changer for meditation because I started listening to those apps, but I wasn't meditating. I was planning, I was reflecting, I was sorting things out that happened.
Wow.
I didn't know the difference. I didn't understand it. And even now it's hard, I catch myself sometimes doing things while I'm supposed to be meditating. And so I really have to center myself before I meditate and just allow myself just the space to just be present and be in the moment. And I couldn't do that without having mindfulness training.
Wow. So JJ, besides being a successful businesswoman and an award-winning book writer, you're also a light worker. Can
Mm.
you share with the audience what does this mean?
Well, I feel like we all have the ability to be light workers, but light workers are people placed on the planet right now that have chosen to be here to remind people that they are light and that they are part of a bigger energy. And we often have tools, techniques, and ancient wisdom to do that. And I believe that I am here as part of this network of light workers that are strategically placed all over the planet right now to illuminate our knowing and to raise our frequency to shift the energy of the planet.
And that is what light workers are. I mean, and Dolores Cannon talks about that in the Convoluted Universe. I'm a QHHT practitioner, and I'm a big time Dolores Cannon fan. And when she does the regression therapy and she moves through the past lives, and they have those conversations about what the actual um, lesson is to be learned on Earth, and the way to maneuver through life. It is absolutely just wonderful, and just a plethora of information diving off into what she does. And I see you smiling. I know you know who I'm talking about.
I love her, and I have 2 QHHT practitioners, and I read the book,
Right.
Discovering Atlantis, I believe it is, the woman who wrote it
Uh,
out of Florida. I
yes.
wanted to go to her, but, she's in the Keys, and I ended up finding a couple people right here where I live, and both of them have such beautiful gifts, but I love her videos on YouTube too, Dolores. I watch her sometimes because I just even some of her old radio shows are so fascinating.
Yes. Yes. And fascinating is an understatement. Imagine just being one of the students and you're learning, you're watching the videotape. Julia is teaching the entire course, and you're just learning through that. And then when you work on your first client and you guys move through past lives, and once you're done with that, they've had some pretty interesting past lives. But once you're done with that, you move to the subconscious mind, to the higher self, to source, we just whatever people want to call it, and you pull it out and begin to solve the whatever the issues are with the actual client. It's amazing to hear the brilliance and the energy coming from their voice. They're not the same people. They are so much more sharper and intelligent and direct. It's absolutely amazing.
I love it. And for anyone listening, it is such a gift you can give yourself to do a QHHT session. I've done a
Yes.
few of them, and it's just another level of self-discovery. All of these tools and techniques help us as humans illuminate our light, clean out our closets, remove darkness that is no longer serving us. And I believe we are here to really work with this vessel so that we can be as bright as possible. So whether you use QHAT or tapping or any astrology, or you use any type of energy practice or practitioner that comes to you through a referral based networks, I think that it's worth it. It's often such a gift you can give yourself.
Absolutely. I want to get your feedback. I want to show you this right here. And where we go. Yep, there we go. Give us some feedback on this. Oh, that's you. My bad.
Ah,
It's a beautiful website. I wanted you to be able to talk about your website to the audience. And I know you speak, and you're a best-selling author. You're a podcaster as well as I am. You have retreats. Wait a minute, why am I selling this? You should be doing this.
Oh, you're so sweet, Jason. As I mentioned before, like I'm a trial and error. I like to try so many things and then package the best of what I find for
Yes.
people that are on similar journeys. So I've had great joy in just packaging them up. And let me tell you, books grading is something I never thought I would do. I'm an engineering mind. I'm dyslexic, so it's really hard to edit my own work, but the universe had something else in mind. And so when I brought together my first group of women in 2008, I really just brought them together so that I could learn how they move through working and having a family. And I bundled up the best practices for working mothers on how to maneuver, the work environment and being a mother. And that's really what kind of started me on my book journey, which then brought me into my second and my third book.
Wow.
Yes. And in 2016, I got a whisper to bring women together in nature, but I did not do it until 2018 because I didn't trust myself. I never had been to a retreat. I didn't even know what retreats are. And in 2 weeks, I'm going to be having my ninth retreat.
So you have the book Seeking, Accelerate Your Impact, the Working Woman's GPS, corporate book clubs. You want to spend some time talking about those?
Well, I think for anyone listening, I think, each piece of our journey, and especially as women, whether, we've chosen to work and have kids, or we want to get promoted or get on boards, or we come to a point where we realize that we've done everything we thought we were going to do and we didn't necessarily feel the joy and momentum or even self love that we thought we'd experience. I have a book on each of those because those are situations and experiences I've had to go through personally, and I didn't think it was easy and I couldn't find the cliff notes. And so, each book really is a workbook and tools and everything I've read and done that has brought me to this point. So I think for many of us, we just need sort of a playbook of how to get it done. And these are books I created because they're based on what I wish I had when I was going through these pieces of my life.
I mean, absolutely wonderful to just have the level of discipline to put together sustained content, and 4, 5, 6 books, and it just takes a lot of concentration. And I applaud you. Now, I know that you do some speaking. Talk to us about that.
Well, for me, it's the easiest way to get to as many women and men as possible is to speak. And I knew early on I was going to be a speaker, but I didn't know how. And it wasn't, you get glimpses of your life's work early on, and you get just sort of ideas and momentum like, hey, I think I'll join the National Speakers Association when I'm 23 years old. I did not start speaking until I was in my middle of my 30s, and now I'm in my 50s. So I feel like follow the whispers. If you're getting information given to you and you don't know how it fits in, and your initial reaction is, heck no, I'm not doing that, see that as a way that the universe is trying to prepare you for what is ahead.
Wow. So let's talk about how. Yeah, well, no, first off, let me stop that. I need to make sure I get your website up here so they can know. Um, www.digeronimo.com. I'm going to spell that out for the www.digeronimo.com. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you go and check out JJ's website. Some of the wonderful things she offers, different energy healing techniques, and just overall coaching and helping people understand how to heal themselves and how to clear blockages. And one of the things I like the most, and I'm a galactic energy healer, and
Mm.
it's just the way we can use all these different modalities to help people. But the question I was going to ask you before I had to go back and talk about your website, I want to ask you, how do you work with your modalities when you're working within the business realm with maybe individuals that you may be coaching, or maybe in your own business? Because I know as I was learning, I was trying it, I was trying to integrate it, and it was absolutely working at every turn. And I was like, wow. But so how do you, or how have you used your different spiritual modalities in everyday life, business, or working with a client?
Yeah, so as you can imagine, I love this work and I feel like I want to share it with so many people, but I found myself sending emails like, "Oh, you should meet with this practitioner. You should meet with this practitioner. Let me show you what's in your birth chart." And so I finally got smart and created a community called Together We Seek. And I created that because I was doing so many referrals of energy practitioners that it was just becoming like a crazy email mess. So I worked on building the community Together We Seek while I was writing my third book. And let me tell you, as you probably already know, that much of my writing is channeled. So I'm not working by myself and I am working in conjunction with my higher energies to really put together something that's going to resonate. And it takes a lot of dedication and quiet time. I don't read any books while I'm writing. I don't watch any TV. Like I really just write, eat, I'm with my family, and then I'm back to writing again because I feel like I have to just I don't want to get my message confused with anyone else's. So I'm really deliberate that I'm quiet while I'm doing it, which can be months. And so I really right now am more of a bridge of bringing professional women into the realms of exploring what is energy practitioners. How did they become energy practitioners? What was their professional job before they leaned into their whispers? And so Together We Seek, I've been interviewing energy practitioners about their journey because I'm trying to show and highlight that they're just like us, but they've leaned into their whispers and they've really worked on their gifts. And I feel like this combination of working with energy practitioners at a time like this is going to help all of us see that we're much more than what society gives us to work with in the spiritual realm.
And energy practitioners are, I mean, they are beautiful. And I started off with that. One of the first modalities I learned was level one, level two, level three, energy healer. But it was my spiritual teacher who really, really introduced it to me, and would use these different patterns of energy healing and would push them towards me. And you could feel this sensation in your body. And a lot of the tapping, uh, exercises that you can do, a lot of that stuff can be healed with Reiki, or can you can get the same effect using a different all these different types of healing, energy healing modalities. So it's amazing how the feminine energy of the woman, that is amazing how if that can be brought back forth, brought forth, and if we can live through that type of energy, as we once did, I mean, thousands of years ago. And it's
Well,
probably why.
you know the sixth sun is coming, so it's coming.
Yes.
But I'm reading right now. Have you read the book Seth Speaks?
No, but I've known about that. But I've known about that book for over 20 years.
Yeah, I'm listening to I'm actually listening to
Yes.
it on Audibles. It's like 20 hours, but I am sad it's
Yes.
coming to an end. I'm down to my last 3 hours, and it reminds me a little bit of Kinnon's work,
Yes.
and it's just amazing. It comes from this woman, Jane. It's just amazing, and, it highlights things you already know, but it's
Mhm.
really just an amazing reminder in a different way.
Right.
And I have to interview you because I want to talk about this galactic healing because in my book here, I have a chapter 46, your fuel stations and galactic chips. And
Yeah.
I feel like, I do a lot of work. Well, I should say I don't do a lot of work. I have the Palladians come to me a lot, but I'm still trying to
Mhm.
figure out like how to communicate with them because they come I don't have it on right now, but I have a light in my office that they come and blink the light on and off, on and off, on and off. And they try to get my attention in all these ways. And I am still trying to figure out like how to communicate with them.
Wow. My spiritual teacher, Chloe Moores, I don't know if you've ever heard of her, but Chloe, she has her channeling abilities, and you can look at some of my episodes. She comes on a lot. Her channeling abilities are just, I mean, yeah, I've been with a lot of channelers, so she's very, 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 she's a very open channel.
Mm.
And the Palladians would come through, Octurians would come through. I mean, obviously the reptilians, and they're good and they're bad. There's some bad, but the positive energy reptilians, Mother Earth consciousness would come through.
Yep.
And she would move all of these beings and said, "Are there any questions?" And I would have all my stuff ready, and it would just be amazing. So I could just, I know that you talked about trying to understand and trying to differentiate with how they're communicating with you. I can resonate with that because when I've been taught how to channel, but I'm not audible. It's not that someone's talking to me, but I get all these images and I get this feeling as if the images should be telling me the story, and those are the messages that I'm getting. And
Mm,
I took that same, and I learned channeling maybe I mean, I was working on it for 2 years, and I took all that information, and that's why I think I've become a really good remote viewer because I use
mm.
all the same principles that I
Yeah, I
don't.
think that's my next I now that I would just say books for me too is really about wrapping up a chapter in my life so that I have the space to move on. And I'm moving towards this Palladian work, but I had to
Yes.
kind of get everything kind of wrapped up around this. So I have the freedom in the space in which I reside, the space to allow new lessons to come in, learn new practices. And I think for many of us, letting go of what's no longer serving you, whether it's relationship, work, experiences, history, whatever it is, like work with the practitioners you need to clear that out so you have the space to expand.
And one last thing, and I know I'm saying I know we're running out of time, but the fact that we can use these modalities to reprogram a client's mind, to show them how to keep the meridians flowing in the chakras with energy healing. Um, all these different tools that can help people, self hypnosis, QHHT, reprogramming a person so that they can be sharper at what they want to do. So we can, and using a lot of different techniques to attack depression. The layman person who's just kind of going through life and just kind of looking down the street, not seeing anything, has blinders on, they are really missing how powerful they really are from within.
Yes, but we have to remember that everyone his time is, time is well, I don't know, depending on how much research and how much they like, time may or may not be valuable, but everything is happening at the same time.
Yes.
So that person is having a lifetime experience, but that is the lifetime experience. You and
Yeah.
I have probably had a lifetime experience 100 plus times. So we are much more awakened to the connection, the light, our gifts, and that you will attract the frequency in which you reside. And
Mm.
so I feel like a lot of my recent work is about aligning to uplifting energy, positive energy, grateful energy, because I am done with those frequencies. I've experienced those this time and hundreds of lifetimes before, that I feel like this is where the frequency is now. This is where the frequency I want to be in, just like a radio station. It's like, and Dolores talked about, I want to be in a certain radio band, that I'm going to attract people like you, Jason, and you're going to attract people like me. And I think
Yes.
the people that are oblivious, the magoos of the world, they're exactly where they need to be, but they're not going to be in conversations like this with us right now.
Wow, JJ. I'm fascinated. I'm a fan. Ladies and gentlemen, go buy the book Seeking right now.
Yes.
But you know what? One thing about that book, in your words, how can it help us? How can it help
It's a
us?
vibrational book. It's a vibrational book. The book carries a vibration. And if you're at this vibration, it will call you. It's like there's certain books that I've read that I wasn't ready for five
Well
years ago,
said.
right? It's like this book carries a frequency. And if you're ready and open to this frequency, the book will be open to you. And I feel like the wisdom that you need will be in the pages. And I have people, there's 74 key findings. I have people just opening pages up and reading the key finding or just a chapter. and they're not really reading it beginning to the end. They're using it as sort of like you would an Oracle deck. You're just opening the page that you need right now. So, I think it is a tool. It is a tool and it's helps me still. And I am super grateful that they've chosen me to channel this book.
I love it. And you know what? I'm gonna be getting that book too. Trust me. Okay, JJ, it was a pleasure. I want you to hold on for 1 second in the back. I'm gonna close this out, but I'll be right there. It was a pleasure. You know what? Wait a minute. How rude of me. Can you give the audience one last goodbye and maybe some tips or your next seminar or maybe there's a free gift? Uh, whatever you need to say to the audience, be my guest.
Well, obviously, I'm super honored to be here with you. I'm so excited that I'm on this part of my journey that I would be connected and that we can have this type of conversation. I feel like
Yes.
so privileged to be here and be in this type of realm with all of you. So I just really am grateful for that. If you want a few chapters of Seeking, you can go to jjdigeronimo.com. There's a pop up and you can get a couple chapters to check it out and see if it's for you. And then you can always join me live inside my community. Together we seek.
All right. Okay, JJ, 1 second. I'll put you back in the back office. I'll be right there. That JJ DiGeronimo, just a outstanding businesswoman, author, life coach, light worker, uh, just very skilled and very knowledgeable about a number of things that pertain to helping you live your best life, helping you remove those blockages. If you're dealing with depression, pain, any type of trauma, JJ is a expert at what she does. And she's an accomplished author and she's spoken all over the world. So we're talking about a person with a level of intellect and ability to help. So, but we want to thank you for watching us tonight. And we're so glad that you are enjoying the content. The watch hours on YouTube are looking really good. So I know you're enjoying the content, and we want to keep on giving you what you're looking for. We're on YouTube at Expansion of Consciousness. Just go to YouTube at Expansion of Consciousness. And we're also on Facebook and we're also on Twitter at Expansion of Consciousness on Facebook at Expansion of Consciousness. But it was a great show, and I'm glad JJ stopped by to be with us. We'll see you the next time. Again, thank you for watching us tonight, the Expansion of Consciousness, and we'll see you later. Goodbye.